Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Lyssa Lizards.
I'm Neptune the Chameleon.
And we're your Reptile girlies. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Favorite day of the week, but today I have a mild pet peeve, and that is kind of what I wanted to start with today.
Let's just get into it.
Yes, I am very, very tired when I go to the grocery store, pretty much every time, not having a single checkout line available other than the self-checkout line.
Which are very convenient if you have less than 10 items.
100%. But
more
a lot of times I got a lot more than that.
Yeah, you're a frequent Target shopper.
I'm a big Target shopper. I'm a big Sprouts shopper. Sprouts luckily doesn't have any of the self-checkout, so I really like to hit up Sprouts.
But Target is notorious for having 10 plus lanes that are no one's in them, and then they only have their 5 self-checkout.
Walmart is also notorious for it too, which is why I don't go to Walmart as often these days, because Target's a little bit better about it. They usually at least have 3 or 4 lanes open.
Oh, okay. Maybe I go to Target too late.
Oh,
because
maybe.
they'll be closed, so your only option is the self-checkout.
Ooh, that's a problem. Yeah, I hate it when that happens, especially. But most of the time, there's only 2 lanes that are available that are not self-checkout.
10, yeah.
Yes, and then sometimes people choose to do the self-checkout instead of doing the longer lane, and then they've got a million things, and then they take up 30 minutes.
Yeah. My thing is if stores are preferring the self-checkout, which I totally understand the benefits to it, then I feel you should have fewer of the longer checkout lines, right? Just you're not going to use them. Take out 5,
100%.
Put in 10 more little self-checkout stations, whatever, in that same amount of space, and that would expedite things exponentially.
100%. I just feel there are way better ways of doing it, and that's been bugging me. So that
Do you feel better now?
Thank you. Yes. If you can tell, I just basically did
that
a run. Yes.
Off your chest.
Yes.
I get that. If we're sharing pet peeves, I have one, because I was driving earlier today, and I think we're all guilty of standing at a red light and you kind of check your phone.
Yes.
Right? You're I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
No one's safety is at risk. You're not moving.
My foot is heavy on the brake.
I get it. But here's my thing. If you're the first car at the light, you're not allowed on your phone.
No, you can't do that.
You're not allowed.
No.
Because it's your responsibility when the light turns green to go.
Yes, you are the
leader. Which then prompts everyone else to be oh, here we go. And then follow behind you.
You're literally the only person in the whole line that should be paying attention.
It's a rule. I just made up the rule, but it's a rule.
It should be. It's universal unspoken rule. Everybody should do that.
Because I was at a light and I can tell the person's not paying attention.
Yeah.
And then also, what is the socially acceptable amount of time
before you honk?
Mm-hmm. Because 2 seconds is not it. Because the amount of times where I'm not even on my phone, I'm picking at my nail or fixing an eyelash or scratching something on my car, and
changing
I get honked at.
Yeah.
And I'm 1, it's been 2 seconds, and 2, I'm not even texting.
Because that's equally annoying for sure. And so that
I'm a good 1, 2.
I'll give them a
3.
Good 5 count.
Okay, now I'm gonna honk because you're obviously not even paying attention.
This just sparks another mild. We're just airing out our grievances.
Can we just do a whole episode of this, because I need this?
Can we just complain for a second? But your little pet peeve just made me think of another one. When people are turning in the right, not turning in the right-hand lane, and they're just hanging out in that lane.
Okay, but that one, I understand it's frustrating when you're trying to turn, but my thought is what if they're turning right after the light, so they need to be in the right lane?
But chances are there's going to be most people turning right in the lane, so you can easily just pop over if you're in the...
I know, but as a planner who likes to plan ahead while I'm driving, I understand.
Because I am equally as stressed out if I am that first person in that right turn lane and I'm not turning. I feel like such a jerk. Absolutely.
So sorry.
So that's why I'm whenever I do that.
And then they're trying to squeeze by you, and you're I'm as far forward as I can go.
Yes.
Your diesel truck is not making this.
No, it's not happening.
Making this turn.
It's not happening,
especially
with my tiny little car. This is as close as I get, dude. This is
okay. What last one? All right. Last one. Only because you said turning right. So there was one time I was trying to turn right, and it was either right on red or the light was green. But like I had right away, right? It was like my turn, except for there was someone in the crosswalk, and the car behind me got cranky and was like honking at me, and I'm like, "Hello, there's someone in the crosswalk," and I fully understand they couldn't see the person.
But I would assume that.
It was like an intersection that normally wouldn't have people in it.
Okay.
So it's not like they
fair.
kind of expected it. But I'm like,
in my head, I was visualizing like a big crosswalk, and I'm like, well,
it was a big crosswalk, but it's like a 7-lane intersection that normally people aren't walking through that. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm not turning because I'm not paying attention. I'm not turning so I don't hit a human being.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
which
as
is
one
like,
should do.
which is like kind of a critical part of learning to drive.
Of driving. Yes. And so, and then eventually the person got into plain view. And in my head, I'm like, neener. See, I told you I couldn't turn.
How do you feel now, buddy?
Not great. But you took that honk back.
Yeah, take it right back.
Anyways, not that you asked for any of that, but I hope you guys are like, yeah, what she said. Because like, I can't think we're the only ones who have these frustrations.
No, but thank you for coming to our TED Talk of just complaining for
that's
5
the
minutes
episode.
straight.
That's all we're going to do today.
But if you have any irritations or pet peeves, please let us know, because we just needed to vent this out.
Like react to people's pet peeves.
Ooh, wait, that's fun. Let's do that.
If you put them in the chat, then next episode we'll react.
Yeah, 2 episodes in the future we will react to your pet peeves.
To your pet peeves.
Oh, this is fun. I would love to know your pet peeves. Now I'm excited.
Yeah, are they legit? Or are you like the outlier?
Or are you just like complaining, which I'm also not against.
Is an option. Yes. No, that's good. That's good.
Just complaining is not our only topic for the day, even though that was fun and therapeutic and I kind of needed it. So thanks for that.
I do feel better.
I do feel much better. So this topic today is a little bit relevant because it is something that I am a little bit like curious about.
Which is interesting because we've had this topic on our idea list, I think, since the conception of the podcast.
Yes.
Or very soon after. Like this has been on here for months. So the fact that we're now talking about it when it's somewhat relevant, which I didn't even know this was top of mind for you. So just tell the people.
Very interesting. And it's basically just a question that I think we posed it as a question in our notes. Yeah. But would you work in a local reptile shop? And what is your answer?
I'm going to go with no.
Okay.
And I'll explain. Should I explain now or do you want to answer and then I'll explain?
Go ahead.
Do my thing?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. And it's only...
And we're also going to get into the pros and cons too.
Sure.
So these answering of this one question is just our blanket statement answer, right?
I'm going to reframe the question. Would I want to work at a reptile shop?
Fair.
Yes, I would. I would want to do that realistically.
But would you do it?
No, and it comes down to 2 things: bugs and snakes.
Ooh, fair. I forgot about that aspect for you.
Yeah, so I don't touch live bugs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, like I want to say like 100% of reptile shops supply feeders, which includes their live frozen, mammal feeders, but then also their bugs. And people are buying like hundreds at a time. So you're like having to count these quick. And like, yes, you'll have your little hornworm cups, but like your mealworms, your super worms, like your crickets, like those are in tubs and you're like having to count them out. You're not going to be efficient if you're sitting there with your little tongs counting out 100 dubia roaches.
You would never be employee of the month.
I would never be an employee, period. Because I have to imagine one of the first questions in the interview is...
Are you comfortable with bugs and snakes and mice?
Exactly. And I am not.
Yeah.
That's
so fair.
Like, but then part of me is like, well, maybe it would be good for me. Because then I would like...
Get over it,
right? Because eventually...
But also, like, is it worth torturing yourself for a while to get used to it?
I know. So that's why I'm like, the bug thing is hard for me to get over. Not to say I couldn't do other responsibilities, but I feel like that is like an essential part that like of working in the shop is that like 100%. You need to be able to like pull feeders.
No, it's completely fair. Honestly, that's a good one.
And then I also can't really handle snakes confidently.
Yeah,
I could feed snakes that I'd be fine with, but like handling snakes or helping new keepers. Yeah. And not to say every pet store employee is expected to know like everything about all the species or be comfortable with but I feel like you should be comfortable with like a ball python, a corn snake, you know.
The basics.
Yeah. And I just, but then again, I was like, well, maybe this would be good for me to like get that experience because I've never owned a snake to like get that practice.
Yeah.
So those are my two hesitations.
It's so funny because when I was like writing my notes for this, I was obviously just thinking about my side of it that I hadn't yet thought of like your side of it. And this all checks out and makes total sense. I just completely like forgot some of those little things. So I'm like, duh. I'm saying,
like, I want to do it because I do think it would be super cool. And there's so many aspects that I would thoroughly enjoy talking to other reptile keepers, educating reptile keepers.
New reptile keeping friends.
Helping with them, like, you know, figure out what species is right for them. Enclosure builds. Literally everything we talk about on this podcast, you'd get to do and get paid for.
Yeah.
And I'm an extrovert. Like, through and through.
Yes.
And like that would bring me so much joy. In fact, there's times that I was like, man, I'd really just want to be like a barista just to like talk to people and like the stress of like you have 12, because I worked as a barista in college, of like 12 cups with all their orders.
Oh, it's
and
so
you're
fun.
In the rush. I'm like, oh, so that's my jam.
Very similar, but same, different font, you know, but so my very first job, I feel like I've said this before on the podcast, I can't remember, but my very first job at 15 was working at a Sonic
Yes, we did talk about, I don't know what episode.
I know I brought it up
but
at some point.
this definitely has come up, yes.
But it's same thing where I would have like a line of all these drinks to make.
Last meal.
That is where because my favorite drink is a cranberry Dr. Pepper, which is like my weird funky drink that I'm upset. And I have so many others. If you guys want any of like the fun Sonic drink recipes, let me know because I got a ton. It's my favorite.
Love that.
But it's the same thing. Like I used to have like a lineup of drinks and I was just like an assembly line. I was like boom, 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 boom. Like that is the best feeling. It is so nice. But so on that note of like you said, like barista stuff, I would definitely work at a reptile shop, and I've actually somewhat considered it in the last like few months because as much as I love running my own business and doing my own thing, I have been hella overwhelmed this year. And, you know, I love my clients. They are incredible and who I work with, but it's been a lot this year. And so I've definitely had multiple moments this year where I'm like, maybe I just stop taking clients and I just go and work as a barista. Or maybe I go work at my local reptile shop, to the point where I ask my local reptile shop some questions about what the employment's like. What does the schedule look like? Do you do part-time? Is it only full-time? I've asked those questions to my local.
Feelers. Yeah.
I put the feelers out because I was like,
can you share any of those answers for anyone who may be considering working at
and obviously like everybody's local reptile shop is different. There are good ones, there are bad ones, there are medium ones, there are the local chain pet stores. There, you know what I mean? There's like there's a variety of types of reptile shops.
Not all are created equal.
Exactly. And so we luckily have one near us that's like an incredible one that we love. And so I know a lot of the employees and talk to people whenever I go in there. And so I had just asked, and it was, I believe, minimum wage or like a little bit more than minimum wage. And then the hours, they definitely did part-time in addition to full-time, which is why I was very interested, because my business, the part of my business where I take clients is technically part-time or work more than part-time, but it's supposed to be part-time. Yeah. And so I pretty much just wanted to fill like that void if I were to stop taking clients. And so I was very excited to hear that they took part-time, because some places don't, you know, but it sounds like this one does, and I'm sure, you know, other ones do. So that's an important question to ask.
That makes sense though, because there's like a lot of high school kids or college kids that work there, so they need the flexibility of like their school schedules to also like pick up some shifts in between classes and stuff. So absolutely, that checks out. Yeah. Is there anything other than like, obviously you have your day job currently, that like is a reservation or hesitancy about potentially working in a reptile shop? So similar to you, I don't mind bugs nearly as much as you do. Like I still have similar like at reptile shops, you are pretty much reaching your hand into a bucket of roaches, right? Yes. So like and super worms, which those guys do not mess around. Exactly. And honestly, the biggest drawback from like the feeder perspective for me would actually be the mice. That was more of the thing that I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. The bugs, I could definitely get past. I don't love it. I don't enjoy sticking my hand into a bunch of bugs, but like, could I do it without absolutely losing my mind? Maybe if you had like gloves or something. Yes. Like, so you don't actually have to like feel them totally on you. I don't know.
And I, trust me, I mean, I was the designated bug catcher in my household in college, okay? Like, I will grab bugs with my hands and it doesn't bother me.
I was the designated bug smasher in my household.
Oh, I would come home frequently in college where my roommates had just put a red Solo cup on top of a bug and left a note that was like, Lyssa, come get this. And I was like, oh, okay. So like...
No, because usually in the house I had growing up, we had like spiders and they're like beefy spiders. And so those did not get released, unfortunately.
We're on like a mild bug tangent, but have you ever heard of the camel crickets?
No.
Oh my God. Okay,
You're making me nervous, though.
We need to like Google a picture of them after this because they are... Actually, I'm just going to Google it right now because it's wildly freaky. We had these all over my house and it used to terrify my brother to the funniest point. And they are so creepy. Their legs are extra long and like pointy and they're terrible. Here, I just looked it up. No, and they have like a little hunchback.
Those are weird.
And they're also not small. They're like bigger than the crickets.
I can see in this person's hand.
They're huge. They get massive. And we would just be like sitting in our bedrooms at night and like see one on the ceiling from time to time. Yeah. Because my parents like
on the ceiling?
It was
so they can
horrifying.
Like crawl upside down and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's funny is since my childhood, we have not seen them again. I think it was because we had just built the house.
Oh, interesting.
And so like it had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Because they've kind of they've like died off or aren't really there anymore, but they were super prevalent when we had like first moved in. And that's
a no from me.
That took some adjustment. So everybody look up a camel cricket. It is freaky. I don't like them.
No, we just had spiders.
Yeah, spiders are rough too.
And I'm actually like allergic to some spiders where if I get bit, I'll like swell up like
I did not
pretty
know this
bad.
about you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and like so unfortunately those guys did not get released.
No.
My rule with bugs is if you're outside, you're good.
Yeah, you're safe.
You're good. You're in your home. I'm in your space.
Yeah.
Whatever. As soon as you cross the threshold of my home,
This is
all
fair.
bets are off.
That's totally fair.
That's the rules. I've told all the bugs in my yard. I bring them together for our annual meeting. I'm like, listen, guys, these are the rules.
Yeah.
If you cross in, there's no guarantee you're crossing out.
That's a fair rule. I totally understand. I'm a little more lenient because I like the occasional tiny little spider in my house to catch other like little creepy crawlies.
Tiny is subjective, but I
understand.
can maybe get behind that.
I understand. But Logan knows there are like a couple of spiders in our house that I have allowed to live for a long time. No, I don't name them. But
that'd be kind of cute.
But Logan does know that they are my little friends. And there's specifically one on my sink. I've got like a little tray in the corner and he's under the tray. And so I don't move it very often or anything. And so he's been there for a while. And occasionally he'll catch like a little millipede or a mosquito or flies or whatever. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your contribution to the household.
Rent.
You've paid your rent for the month, sir. We appreciate you.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So long story short, I don't mind the bugs. It would take some getting used to, but I kind of like the idea of getting over some of that.
Yes.
Because again, I can handle bugs fairly easily. Does it freak me out for a few seconds? Absolutely. But like I could get over that.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it could be good for me. Like slightly traumatic but therapeutic at the same time.
The mice is where I hesitate though, because there's first off knowing that I would be feeding like handing people and we've talked about live feeding and stuff.
Yeah, you know the fate of this little mouse.
I know the fate of the mouse. I also know the potential fate of the snake if the owner isn't properly live feeding in a way that is safe, which...
I'm just thinking of like the pinkies though. The pinkies are not causing harm to your snake. For anyone who doesn't know, a pinky is like a baby mouse. Like and they're pink. They don't have fur yet. That's why they're called
tiny
pinkies. So like they're not going to be biting your snake because they're little babies. Yeah. But like...
So I'm a little bit of a baby about that.
Yeah.
That would give me a little bit of pause. But the other reason I thought it would be great for me is, as you well know, I've been a reptile keeper for over 15 years and I am still jumpy as hell. So
she is. You guys probably don't know this.
It's hilarious. Like it's actually ridiculous how jumpy I am with pretty much all of my reptiles. Like Voldy makes me jump like crazy. Every time I have him, like I'm feeding him anything, because he moves so spastically, every time. And all my geckos and everything,
This
the
is
jumpy
why
ones.
it will take a lot for me to get another new Caledonian species because of how unpredictable they are. And I'm a flinchy person just
I think that's
in general.
what it is. I'm just flinchy. Like I just
I don't know if this was mentioned in the Halloween episode when we talked about your Halloween party, but I had my tray of cake ball eyeballs, and they're on this tray balancing, and then Campbell barked when I arrived, and they almost went flying because I was like, ah, and I flinched.
Yeah, he sounds like a really big scary dog.
But I'm just like a flinchy person, and I distinctly also, this is funny. This episode's just
we're just all over
guys.
the place today.
But I was watching, I think it was like the third Hunger Games or something. Back when it came out, like in theaters, I had my bucket of popcorn. There was a jump scare, and my popcorn flew
everywhere.
I literally watched it flew up and then landed back in the container.
At least it landed in the bag. That's
mostly.
actually
I lost a couple pieces, but
sure.
I was like,
but a couple is still good.
Yeah, I'm just an easily startled person.
No, yeah.
So what happens when we hang out and one of your animals startles you, then you startle me because then you flinch, then I flinch. So then we're just like all freaking out at the same time.
Literally so on point. I know. So it's like, and again, like it's one of those weird things where I'm jumpy, but like I do not mind getting bit by a snake. Like I've been bit by every single one of my snakes. I would have no problem handling a bitey snake.
It's just like instinct though.
Yeah, no, it's just
like
I'm just jumpy.
The jump scare is coming. I can hear the music.
Yes.
I know it's coming.
Yes.
And I still I come over how many times? I know Campbell barks every time, and yet I'm still like
Yeah. No, it's just I've just still somehow I've gotten a little bit better over the years, but I'm just a little jumpy, and in a positive way. I feel like working at a reptile shop would take that out of me. I really do.
You?
I think it would desensitize me because you're handling bitey baby snakes all the time. So I couldn't jump after that. That would I would hope that would like knock it right out of me, you know? So,
it would at least improve. I don't know if it'd go away entirely, but probably would improve.
Part of it's just instinct, but that was another positive that I was like, that could be really fun. And there's obviously the pro. This was probably the big one.
Employee discounts, right?
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, that's a pretty dang good one.
I'm just kidding. What were you actually going to say?
I was just going to say like getting more entwined in the community, in the reptile community, because like we're obviously like very deep in the reptile community at this stage.
But on the internet though.
I was going to say from a local level is like also really fun. And so I had considered that too. And honestly, a big part of it was me wanting part of my career to have nothing to do with social media. That was a big part of my thought process. I was like, what can I do that I love, that I would enjoy, that would be really fun and also wouldn't require me to like kill myself thinking about social media strategies all the time.
Yeah, or just be on your phone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like that can be very draining and exhausting. So I totally get it. I think it very much depends on the reptile shop too, because the one that we're thinking of is phenomenal.
Top tier, yeah.
Like they do such a great job with their ambassador animals. They do such a great job of vetting people with their enclosures. Yes. They do such a great job with them actually selling all the correct supplies. Yes. Creature Farm is a women and family-owned business dedicated to reptiles, amphibians, and creatures of all kinds.
They breed and sell some exciting species along with their cute merch, but what they're most well known for is their species signs for all your pets' enclosures.
Their wooden species signs feature a hand-drawn illustration of the animal, common and scientific names, plus key information about the species.
You can even add your pet's name for a custom touch. With over 300 species, they're likely to have one for each of your scaly critters. Use the code WILDTYPE for 15% off your order at creaturefarmanimals.com. Have you guys checked out the Palm Street app yet? Pangea is going live in the Palm Street app every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. They'll be doing giveaways every 10 minutes, and geckos are starting at $1. They also have the cheapest shipping for reptiles on the Palm Street app, and they don't even charge extra shipping for additional geckos. And don't miss their free shipping on dry goods supplies purchased in their store.
And be on the lookout at the end of November for their Black Friday sales. Head on over to PangeaReptile.com to take advantage of all their great deals. Geckos, isopods will be on sale along with BOGOs throughout the store.
And most of their employees too, like I have talked to almost every single one of the employees at some point or another, and like some of the owners and stuff, and like they are all so knowledgeable. Like there's definitely certain experts on certain things, but they're really good about being like, oh, this guy has more experience with this animal, let's go talk to him. Like,
oh yeah, and you know that when you talk to the employees, and whenever someone new shows up, I always ask them like, what's your species?
Yeah, what's your thing? Yeah,
and that's just true of the reptile hobby though. We have a tendency to gravitate towards one
certain
or
things.
two particular species. So it's always fun just to kind of like hear what everyone's kind of like preferences, and typically the one that they know the most about, which is fun. So I will say I'd probably have a differing opinion if the reptile shop in question was one that had subpar care, didn't seem to, you know, really vet the buyers, sick animals like that. Don't even waste my time.
Full disclosure, there are like multiple reptile shops in our area, and only one of them is the one that I would 100% consider working at.
I already knew what you were talking about.
Yeah. And so it's like, I definitely, if it were a different one, I definitely would not consider it. But that's just me personally, because there are people I think who would potentially want to work in a shop like that to help it improve, or like if they see that it's a shop that like might not necessarily be doing everything right but has the potential to do things right and they want to be part of that improvement, I can have a lot of respect for somebody that wants to do that too.
It's the growth mindset versus being closed-minded of like, this is how we've always done it or whatever.
Totally. So there's a lot of different thoughts
that popped into my head was potentially being like an exotic vet tech or something.
Ooh, yes.
Right? Obviously you have to go to school and like that is way different than, but I'm thinking, I was like, oh, you don't really have to deal with feeders at that scale. Like you're obviously still feeding all the animals, you know, you're taking care of, but you're not having to stick your hand in a bucket full of superworms.
Right.
Just saying.
Your biggest fear.
Literally. Or, now I'm getting like fear factor flashbacks. And you're like laying in a tub of superworms. I would die.
I'm so glad that we were picturing the exact same thing in our head.
Like our brains just went zing, just connected.
Crazy.
Moving on. So I wouldn't have to deal with that. And if they know I'm like not a big snake person, then I would just not get the snake cases.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a great point.
There you go. Yeah. That's my workaround.
Now you just have to go back to school for exotic vet care.
It's fine. It's fine. All good. No, I think that it's just a fun thing to think about. And like, it's one of those jobs that you're like, whoa, this could be a really cool job, but it's not the right job for everyone. And you have to play to your strengths and, you know yourself and learning opportunities, right? That could be really cool. You don't have to know everything to, you know,
and I think it also just like depends on like what you have going on in your life that you want to do. Cause like my thing, like I've been a corporate-ish girly for like my whole career. And now I'm like, maybe I want to like do that.
Like a desk job, no other way to put it. Yeah,
exactly. And so like, you know, that's my life stage that I'm thinking about it. There are students that it would be like an incredible, you know, part-time job for. And then there are people that, you know, just want to do good in the reptile community on a local level. Like there are so many different people that I think it could be a perfectly well-suited job for.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. If you've got a good reptile shop in your area, please do your best to support them, even if that doesn't mean working there. But if you can like get your feeders from there or, you know, your plants or whatever, your bulbs, like I'm all for supporting local as much as you can.
Ours has great plants. I love going in there even just for house plants sometimes. So definitely support your local shops where you can, and the ones that are good for sure.
The ones that are bad, skip them.
Yeah, skip them unless you see the potential for improvement.
Yes.
But those are few and far between. So, okay. Well, I think that covers our little like reptile shop questionnaire of like, would we ever do that? Let us know if you would ever work in one, and you know what your thoughts are on it. What are your pros and cons? Do you hate the bugs too, or what's the deal? So,
I'm telling you, that would be really hard for me.
I know you'd really struggle with that, but. Anyway, so our next little segment that we have, so we've been doing every now and then a little bit of one for things people say when you're single, because there are a lot. There are quite a few.
I have heard them all.
Oh, same. Same. So our one this week is a classic. And this one can be said when you're in a relationship too, but we'll talk about that. But every single person hears this at some point or another, usually when you're in like the early stages of like talking to someone new or something like that.
Yeah.
People will always tell you, when you know, you know.
Now this one's interesting because if this is like your very first episode you're listening to, I promise you they're a little more organized than this.
Yeah, this is chaotic.
But I am single. You are married. So this is one of those things I have a hard time with because people say when you know, you know. I haven't found my person, so I don't know. I haven't experienced that moment where it just like makes sense. It feels right. It feels good. Like no other person would be a better fit than this person for you. Like all those things that go through your head and you just go, At least that's why what I imagine it would be like.
Oh,
but then
100%, yeah.
you've had that moment, right? Where you're like, yep.
So it almost feels, and I'm just putting myself in your shoes currently, and I've been in those same shoes and been told this many a time before I found my person, but it almost feels like they're saying, when you know, I'm a part of a club that you're not in yet, and you'll know it when you feel it. Like, that's what it feels like, right?
No.
Oh.
But that's because it's your personality. Because then my personality is like, one day I will find that. And if they can find it, I can find it too. And you just took it the complete opposite way. And it's like, well, I'm in the club and you're not.
No. I mean, like, I would feel that way if I were
I know I'm saying though, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I'm not in this club. I feel like,
if you can't tell who the pessimist is of these two co-hosts.
That's what I'm saying. It's so perfect. Like, that's your, like, how you look at things though. And I don't look at it as I'm not in this club. I look at it as like, one day I get to be in the club.
We are the definition of glass half full and glass half empty.
Absolutely. So the fact that you're like, that must be how you feel, right? And I'm like, no. Literally the opposite.
That's
that
hilarious.
If I see other people, then I'm like, oh, then I'll find it too.
You
right?
are such a positive Polly in the best way. And it's one of the reasons I adore you, because it's something I need in my life sometimes. And I actually tend to surround myself with positive Pollys quite a bit.
But then people who are overly optimistic like myself sometimes need a
check.
friend who can just like slap you in the face and be like, now.
Now I'm just thinking about like all the times where I'm like, yeah, you are like very much looking at this person as like a really good person, and I'm seeing a lot of negatives.
See, that's that's us optimistic, us positive Pollys need our negative Nellies to balance us out. No, the only thing that when I think of the like, that makes me get all weird about it is like, what if I don't have that feeling, or what if I don't find my person? And this is a little bit of like a deep thought, but ever since I was young, I've had this reoccurring dream that I'm gonna walk down the aisle and turn around and like ditch my wedding.
Oh my God, that's so prophetic and scary.
I know. And I've had this reoccurring dream my entire life.
Oh, that's so weird.
And like the consequences in like, is my family gonna have to go up there and like tell everyone like, hey, the wedding's off, but then like, but you gotta do what's best for you, and if it in your gut it doesn't feel right, then like you should not marry this person.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
But like, I've had these genuine, like, I don't know, fears, dreams, like conscious, subconscious thoughts that I've been having. So that fear of like never feeling that, like, when of that confidence of like, yep, this is my person.
Yeah.
And because I have yet to feel that in my like dating experience, that I'm like, what if it doesn't happen for me?
I get that. So, okay. So now let me give my perspective on the when you know, because I think it might bring you a little bit of hope.
Which is why then I'm like, but if anyone else can find it, so can I. So it's this back and forth, but would love to hear
that's so fair.
Your side of it.
That's so fair. And my frustration with it, at least when I heard it all the time, was, aside from me feeling like I was excluded from a club.
That's a whole other thing.
Aside from that feeling, I also, now that I have experienced that feeling and know that feeling and have been through that process myself, I still have a little bit of frustration with it, because I feel like most of the time when people say it, and I now don't say it in this way at all, but like, it is true. I do believe that moment exists and that feeling exists because I have felt it, but people always say it as if it's instantaneous. They say it as if like, when you meet your person, you'll know. I didn't know Logan was my man until well over a year. Sorry, Logan. Love you so much. I absolutely knew that there was something special about you and knew that I was like pretty obsessed with you pretty quickly. But like, there were things I was like hesitant about, and that I was like, I don't know about this. Like, we'll see this and that. And like, I had things in the back of my head that I was like, we'll see, like, I'll get to know him more and like see how things go and like all of that. So like, it was not instantaneous. I did not like have that feeling of like, this is my person until probably a little over a year of dating. And like, that's a long time, right? And so like, I, in that first year, had similar doubts with my person who I'm obsessed with. And we have like, in my personal opinion, the best marriage ever. Like, it literally, like, I had those feelings of like, should I know by now? Because everybody says when you know, I don't feel that yet.
Making you like second guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like, I just think it's important for people to know that like, yes, I do think that's true, because I did have that moment and I did find my person. I still feel so rooted in that feeling.
Yeah.
And it does very much give you the feeling of like all of that. And I know that feeling is real and true, but it doesn't happen quickly. Sometimes it does. For some people, it's faster.
Right.
But it doesn't happen immediately. It's not instantaneous. And it might take you a while to be like 100% for sure.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want people to hear that from others and feel disappointed.
No, and that's totally fair, because as someone who's chasing that feeling, it can feel a little bit like you're
it's
at a certain
away.
point, you should feel it, or a certain point, like a switch flips or whatever.
And this kind of goes into, I mentioned earlier, you might still hear this statement of when you know, even when you're in a relationship. I definitely, in other relationships in my life, had people tell me that of like, well, almost like a negative way of like, when you know, like, do you know? Is it like,
of this, like, it's time.
Like, it's time, like, if you don't feel it. So it kind of goes back and forth of like, you really have to know whether it's the right person or whether it's time to end it. And sometimes that can be a conflicting feeling.
I didn't even think of that perspective, but I probably say that more often than not, because I'm a big proponent of like following your gut, especially with dating, because your brain tries to rationalize things. Your heart is feeling things that are conflicting with your brain. And like, it's so hard for me, at least, who like is a big thinker, but also a big feeler, because then they conflict with each other. But never, ever has my gut steered me wrong in the realm of dating. Like, it has always steered me right, and anything where the feeling was there month 1 is the same feeling that was there in month 6, month 9, 1 year, whatever it was. And I was like, oh, I should have just gone with my gut. But then my brain is like, no, give them time. And my heart's like, oh, but like, they make you feel all these great things. And so then but my gut knew all along. So like, as I've gone older and have dated more, it is advice I try to follow better, but then also give to any friends or whoever of like, follow your gut. If your gut is questioning things, then like, you have to listen to it. You
have to.
And if you know, you know. And like, that is your body's way. And it's a combination of your brain and your heart, like all coming together, of like
joined in the middle. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, intuition truly is everything. Like, I am such a big fan of women's intuition in so many different aspects of life. And so that is just something you really, really have to listen to. And I think the statement of when you know is true for a multitude of different things in life. And so it's just, you got to listen to that gut.
So let me ask you this, as someone who has experienced the like aha feeling, a progression or whatever, versus like a particular moment, is there a different way you would describe it versus the like, when you know, or if you had to articulate that moment where it kind of switched to like, maybe to like, for sure?
I literally just remember one day, I genuinely don't even remember like the specific moment or feeling it click. I just knew that it had clicked, and it was in my head. It was just like, it was all of a sudden just like you said, like, I know that's so, but it really genuinely is like, I just started looking at him and was just like, no, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with that guy. Like, there's not a single, and for me, something in relationships in general that I've always kind of like, this is kind of funny, but like in past relationships, there have been times like towards the end of the relationship, when you start noticing other people as like attractive again, it's like, okay, this is probably on its way out. When you start to be like, ooh, that guy's really attractive, or ooh, like that girl's really cute. Like when you start to think about those things, it's like, all right, it's probably time to pack it in. It's probably time to wrap that up. Yeah. And like with Logan, I just like never, like, I literally don't care about any other human besides that man. Like, I love my friends and I love my family and like all those people. Yeah. But like, at the end of the day, if the world is like falling apart, that's my person that's going to get me through. You know what I mean?
I'm going to start crying.
Well, it's just like, there's just this, and it really is just like an all encompassing feeling that everything makes sense all of a sudden. Yeah. Like, that's really what it feels like. It's just all of a sudden you look around and everything makes sense.
And that's what gives me hope. I know it's so cheesy, but like, that's what I want for myself. I know that's what you want for all of your friends.
Oh my gosh, there's so many friends that I have over the years just wanted to like shake. Big thing for her. It's a big thing for me because because
you've experienced it, and you like, your friends deserve that.
But even before now that I've experienced it, I'm even more like, stop settling. Don't settle for this person. What are we doing? You deserve so much more. Like all that. So it's like, now that I've experienced that, I feel that even more. But even before that, I just like have always wanted nothing but the best for my friends and my people. And so it's just like, nobody should settle. Like it should feel so good. You know, like no doubts, no questions, no hesitations.
Yep. Which is why that recurring dream freaks me out.
Terrifying.
Because I haven't felt that.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
for
will
sure.
say though, like for you guys who don't know, like I've known Lyssa since before she met Logan.
Yeah, I forget
like,
about that
back
sometimes.
when we were both single. So like we've been friends for a while.
Yeah.
And it's been like such a joy to witness you go from like your single times
you
to
witnessed
like
some rough moments for
to
sure.
like literally the phone call after the first date to like literally from the beginning to see the progression, and I was able to witness firsthand
For sure.
the switch that we're
sure.
talking about
Oh, yeah.
from like I'm not to like this is my guy.
You of all people know that I was like hesitant for like the first like 6-ish months or so. I was like,
Right.
I don't know. He's great. I really like him, but I don't know about that yet.
Yeah, but then with enough time, like all those worries just kind of like dissipated. Or there are things that you're like, no, I'm good. That's what makes him him. I'm good with that.
I will say there is also a shift in the partner sometimes. And that's a whole other topic we can get into on another time. But like there was also a noticeable shift in Logan where it was like, I was always like a priority, right? Like I could always tell like he always was
You're
a priority.
important, yeah.
There is a shift that happens in your partner that you can sense as the partner of like all of a sudden it was very much like, oh, this man, I am the only priority. I am like the
You're
ultimate
number one.
priority. Like,
you were at the top. You were number one.
It's like you can tell the shift from like when they put you in the top 3 versus the top slot of priorities. It's like, no, this man is dedicated. Like he is, you can tell the shift in them as well. So we can talk about that on another.
Interesting.
So.
No, I'm such a hopeless romantic, and
You
I
are,
just
and I
like
love it. It's perfect. Though.
love so much, and I'm just like eagerly awaiting to like find my person, but it's so on brand for me because I've been a late bloomer my entire life, and so I'm like, of course I'll be like one of the last ones to find their person and whatever. But if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
It just takes some time, and it's so worth it. I mean, I didn't meet Logan until I was almost 29, like so. It takes time, and I had to be real patient too, and went through a lot of frogs. So you'll get there.
Yep,
it's gonna happen.
I can't wait. Prince Charming.
I'm very excited for your Prince Charming to come along. It's gonna be real fun to vet that guy.
Oh yes. No, it'd be good. So I don't know. I feel good about that. The like when is just like
there's so many different connotations to it. There's so many different thoughts, different perspectives, different sides of it. So let us know how you feel about that statement. It is something everybody hears, so we would love to hear your thoughts as well.
We have heard from some folks on some other episodes we've done where they got to like share like if they went ring shopping together and stuff like that.
Yes, love that.
And their experiences. So it's always fun. To hear. And if anyone knows of
any when y'all interact
eligible bachelors,
yes.
No, just kidding. Don't do that. The internet's a scary place. Please
backtrack on that request real quick.
Please do not. No. Anyways, it's all in good fun.
Don't do that.
All in good fun. Yeah. I will stick to the tried and true methods. So
for sure, we love that.
It'll be fine. Don't worry, guys. You'll be in the loop if and when.
Yes.
But
yeah, I think that wraps us up for today. So very chaotic episode, very much all over the place.
But these are so fun sometimes.
No, I love
to just like let it fly.
These are some of my favorites. We got to vent. We got to discuss potential aspirations. We got to discuss some fears, some concerns. I'm all for it. So, all right. Well, that is it for today. Please give us a review, give us a follow on all the things. We are at the Wild Type Podcast. And then you can find me everywhere at Lyssa's Lizards.
Neptune the Chameleon.
And we'll catch you girlies later.
See ya.